Hi and welcome to my studio coaching department. As you are accessing this video, I believe that you guys have no or very little idea of about what IELTS is. So today what we are going to do here is I'm going to take you through the entire process of IELTS, how the IELTS examination is conducted, and what are there in the examination that you need to do. What is basically IELTS? In short, we'll go through the entire orientation of IELTS and the format of IELTS exam. Before that, let me share a PPT with you, based on which I'll explain you everything here. All right. So what is IELTS? IELTS is nothing but the abbreviation of the International English Language Testing System. This entire examination is basically designed to help people work, study, or migrate to a country where English is the native language, or English is the first language. This includes countries such as Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the UK, and USA. And the entire examination is designed in such a way that it tests the four basic skills of the language, that is listening, reading, writing, and speaking. If we talk about IELTS, the entire examination is graded on the scale of 1 to 9, wherein 1 is the lowest band that you get and 9 is the highest bands that you can get in the exam. Now, who are the owners of IELTS? So it is jointly owned by three bodies, that is British Council, IDP, and Cambridge Assessment English. However, when it comes to conducting the examination, British Council and IDP are the active partners who conduct the examination of IELTS worldwide. But when it comes to Cambridge Assessment English, this is the body which creates rules and regulations of IELTS, papers of IELTS, and the material of IELTS examination. There are two basic types of IELTS exam, that is IELTS Academic and IELTS General. So when we talk about IELTS Academic, it is for the students, it is suitable for the students who are planning to pursue their further studies in countries abroad where English is the native language. Okay. Then second type of test is IELTS General Training. IELTS General Training is for the students or for the people who are planning to migrate abroad, who are applying for PR in the countries like Australia, Canada, New Zealand, or UK, or who are planning to gain a little work experience in the country where English is the first language. For them, general training is the most suitable examination. Again, before appearing for IELTS, before start preparing, you need to make sure, you need to ensure that which is the right type of test for me. Okay, so as I already mentioned that if you're planning to pursue your further studies in a broad country, academic is the right test for you. However, if you're planning to migrate, then general training is the right test for you. Okay. There are two types of IELTS examination taken these days. One is IELTS on paper and second is IELTS on computer. So what happens in IELTS on paper? Now this test requires the test takers, the candidates, to sit at a desk with the question papers and the answer sheets for the reading, listening, and writing test. Okay. Now, this entire test happens in the official, test center of IELTS, and the entire examination is taken, at a one go without any breaks. However, when we talk about speaking examination is conducted on a separate day, which is not conducted on the same day, and it is conducted separately. Okay. Then is IELTS on computer. IELTS on computer is the examination which has gained momentum these days because of the pandemic, and it is considered to be the first preference for the students and for the candidates for appearing for examination. Now IELTS on computer. Now this test again, the candidates has to sit the reading, listening, and writing test in front of a computer with the questions presented on the screen, and you have to answer using keyboard and mouse. Okay. Again, the speaking is conducted in the traditional way. It is one-to-one examination. The examiner and the candidate are sitting opposite to each other, and the examination is conducted. Now, what is the test format of IELTS? As I said, there are four skills that are tested in this entire examination. That is listening, reading, writing, and speaking. So listening, reading, writing are the sections that are conducted on the same day, and you have to finish the entire test at one go without taking any breaks. If we talk about speaking, as I already mentioned, it is conducted on a separate day, and it is the examination of roughly 2 hours and 45 minutes collectively, listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Now let's talk about what IELTS listening is all about. Okay. Now, if we talk about IELTS listening has 4 different recordings. Okay. So 4 recordings are there. There are 4 parts in the listening test, and each part has 10 questions to answer. So all in all, you have to answer 40 questions. Okay. And this entire 40 questions is very much compulsory for you to attempt. There is no options given to you that out of 40, you attempt 30 only or 35 only. You have to attempt all the questions. Okay. Now, what is there in part one? What is there in part two, part three, part four? So part one, each part has different recordings, and you have to listen to those recordings, and simultaneously you have to write your answers as well. So what is there in part one? So part one is a conversation between 2 people set in an average everyday social context. For example, a candidate or 2 friends are talking about attending a concert, or a candidate is calling up some institution to inquire about some course or something. Okay. Recording 2, second recording is all about a monologue. So it is a monologue. One person will be speaking, and that person will be speaking something about, again, everyday social context, like a guide is giving a tour of a newly opened facility, or there are some news going on about some newly opened park, or a city area or something of that sort. Then comes recording 3. Recording 3 is again a conversation between up to 4 people. So it could be 2, 3, or maximum 4 people speaking in that. But this is entire set in an educational or training context. For example, 2 students are talking about some project that they're going to do, or the university lecturer and the students are talking about some presentation that is going to happen. Okay. Recording 4, the fourth recording, which is again a monologue, one person will be speaking, and it is again based or set in an academic context. Okay, here the university lecturer will be giving a lecture on some topic, or the expert will be giving some lecture on some topic. So basically, it will be a lecture, the fourth part. Okay. Now, this entire listening test is of approximately 30 minutes. Okay. Approximately 30 minutes, because it depends on the length of each recording. However, in the examination, you will get 10 minutes extra to transfer your answers from the question paper to answer sheet. Now, these 10 minutes you will not get in computer delivered IELTS. In computer delivered IELTS, you will only get 2 to 3 minutes to transfer the answer. There is nothing like transfer the answers, 2 to 3 minutes to check your answers. But this 10 minutes you will get in pen and paper based examination. Okay, so you'll get 10 minutes to transfer answers from the question paper to answer sheet. As I said, the number of questions are 40. Variety of question types are asked in this section, from multiple choice to matching to summary completion and sentence completion. Okay, all of these types of question types, how to deal with it, what is there to avoid, what is there to be careful while answering these questions, everything will be taught to you during your further classes. Here, utmost care needs to be taken while transferring the answers from the question paper to answer sheet. The spellings should be correct and the grammar should be correct. If your spellings are wrong, if your grammar is wrong, even if your answer is correct, it will be marked as wrong. Okay. Here, there is no negative marking. Each correct answer carries 1 mark. On your screen, you can see the sample of listening test. This is how the listening test question paper will appear in front of you when you give the exam. Okay. Okay, the best part about the listening test is the answers will always be in words. It will not be in sentences. So either it will be in 1 word, 2 word, or maximum 3 words. Okay, and or the combination of numbers. But it will always be in words and not in sentences. And you have to write simultaneously. While you are listening, you have to write simultaneously the answers. The second thing is the recording will be played only once. It will neither be repeated, nor you'll be having any control over the recording to pause it. So while you listen, you have to write the answers. Okay. This is how the listening test is marked. So it depends on how many of answers you have answered correctly, how many of questions you've answered correctly. So if you've answered 40 correct or 40, then you get 9 bands. 39 also you get 9 bands. So if it is 37, 38, you'll get 8.5 bands. 35, 36, you get 8 bands. 32, 34, 7.5 bands, so on and so forth. Okay. Now let's talk about reading. What is there in academic reading? Now, an entire academic reading is of 60 minutes. And again, in those 60 minutes, you have to answer 40 questions. So there are 3 different passages, 3 long passages are there. And these 40 questions are divided in such a way that, all the passages will have either 13 or 14 questions. So this entire reading test is designed to check or to assess the reading skills of the candidates. Now, these reading skills include what? It includes reading for the main idea, reading for details, skimming, scanning, understanding the logical argument, understanding the writer's perspective, attitudes, purpose. So these all skills are gauged in IELTS reading test. Okay. The IELTS academic test, this includes, as I said, 3 long texts, 3 long passages, which range from the descriptive and factual nature to the discursive and analytical nature. And most of the time, generally, they are taken from books, journals, magazines, and newspapers. So, as I said already, that 3 big passages, 60 minutes, 40 questions you have to answer. Different variety of types of questions are asked, from multiple choice to identifying information to flowchart completion, diagram label completion, and short answer questions. So it could be any of these type of questions could be asked. Again, the answers that you have to give will always be in words and not in sentences. Either it will be in 1 word, 2 word, or maximum 3 words, or the combination of numbers. Second most important thing is, whatever answers you give here in reading, it will always be from the text, always be from the passage. Nothing will be out of the blue, or you don't have to make your own word and write in the answer sheet. You have to be careful and pick up the words from the passage itself, and that you have to answer. Second most important thing here is, you will not get any extra time to transfer your answers from the question paper to answer sheet. Okay. So here, extra time you will not get. So you will have to be habituated of writing your answers in the answer sheet directly, rather than writing the answers in the question paper. In listening, we used to get 10 minutes extra, because at that point in time, while listening, you have to simultaneously write the answers. Here, you don't have to do that. You have to directly write the answers in the answer sheet. You will not get any extra minutes to transfer the answers. This is the sample of reading test in front of you. There's this passage given here and the questions that appear in your sheet. Now, as I said, this entire reading is extracted or taken from books, journals, magazines, and newspapers. And this specifically has been written for the non-specialist audience. Now, all the topics are of general interest. So it is completely fine even if you're not interested, or even if you're not familiar with the topic. The language, obviously the language will be a little tough, but it will not be completely alienated for you. Okay. How to answer? As I said, the answers will be from the text itself. Then too, you have to be very careful that whatever you are copying from the text, the answer should be correct. It should not have any spelling errors or the grammar errors. Otherwise, you will not get marks, even if your answer is correct. No negative marking are there. Same like listening. There are no negative markings, but each correct answer will carry 1 mark. And this is how your academic reading test is assessed. If you're answering 39 to 40 questions correctly, you'll get 9 bands, 37, 38, 8.5 bands, 35, 36, 8 bands, 33, 34, 7.5 bands, so on and so forth. Okay, so far we have discussed 2 modules, that is listening and reading. Now let's come to the test format of academic writing. Now, what academic writing is all about? So academic writing has 2 different tasks. Okay. Again, the entire writing is of 60 minutes. So you have to finish both the tasks in 60 minutes. 2 tasks. Task 1 is always a pictorial presentation. Now, pictorial presentation could be in any form, in the form of graph, table, chart, diagram, map, process, flow chart. It could be in any form. What you need to do is you have to, whatever information you see in that pictorial presentation, you have to summarize, you have to write that information in your own words, right? You have to describe it in your own words. Then comes task 2. Task 2 is nothing but an essay. You'll be given a topic and you'll be given 40 minutes to answer that entire task. You have to write an entire essay in a proper format. So everything, right from the types of graphs, the types of essays, the format of it, the correct language that is to be used, everything will be taught to you in your further classes when you join. So this is the paper format of it. So there are 2 writing tasks. Both are compulsory to be completed. You're not given any option, write this or that. Task 1, task 2, compulsory for you to attempt it. 60 minutes. Task 1, always you have to write minimum 150 words for task 1 in 20 minutes. Okay. Now this 150 words is absolutely compulsory. If you're writing anything less than that, you'll be penalized. But there is no upper limit. You can write more than 150 words. Even you can write 200 words. So there is no upper limit, but yes, below 150, you'll be penalized. Same goes with task 2. In task 2, you have to write minimum 250 words in about 40 minutes. Nothing less than 250 is allowed. If you're writing something more than 250, it's completely fine. How you should answer? Yes, the answers should everything be in full and the form of paragraphs. Notes or bullet points are not accepted as answers, and you have to write the answers in the official answer sheet that is given to you. This is the sample of IELTS task 1, academic writing task 1. This is the bar graph which you can see in front of your screen, and you have to describe whatever the information is given in there in the words in minimum 150 words. Okay, this is the sample of writing task 2, which is an essay. Again, the clear topic is given to you, what you need to do here, and you have to write your response in minimum 250 words. How the entire academic writing is marked. Now for reading and listening, it was pretty easy for you to know that, based on what you get bands, because there are number of correct answers equal to number of bands that you get. But here you have to be careful. There are 4 parameters based on which you get the bands. But before that, you also need to be very clear that task 2, that is an essay, has more weightage compared to task 1, which is a pictorial presentation or graph. But that does not mean that you ignore task 1 completely, because that is also utterly important. It is just that you need to be careful that you need to put more emphasis in practicing task 2 and task 1 as well, but more on task 2. Now, these are the criteria, these are the marking criteria based on which you get bands for task 1 and task 2 both. So for task 1, it is task achievement, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, grammatical range and accuracy. And for task 2, it is task response, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, grammatical range and accuracy. What are these parameters? What is all included in these parameters will be taught to you in your further classes. So do not worry about that. Now let's switch on to the last part of the entire examination, that is speaking. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, that speaking is the examination which is conducted on a separate day. It is not conducted on the same day. Okay. So it is always a one-to-one session. Examiner and candidate are sitting opposite to each other, and the entire speaking test is conducted like an interview. Okay. Now, the entire test is divided into 3 parts, part 1, part 2, and part 3. And the test lasts from 11 to 14 minutes. Nothing less than 11 and nothing more than 14 minutes goes in this entire test. Part 1 is nothing but an introduction, wherein number of questions are asked to you based on your choices, your preferences, your likes and dislikes. Okay. And this entire part lasts from 4 to 5 minutes. Part 2 is called the long turn, or it is also called as cue card, wherein you'll be given a topic and you'll be given 1 minute to prepare the topic. And after that 1 minute, you'll have to speak for 1 to 2 minutes. Part 3 is called discussion or extended discourse, wherein further discussion will be done by the examiner and you based on the topic of part 2. even the part 3 lasts for 4 to 5 minutes. So part 1, 4 to 5 minutes, part 3, 4 to 5 minutes, and part 2 lasts for 3 to 4 minutes. So the entire speaking test finishes in 11 to 14 minutes. Right? Fine. Now, based on what do you get bands in speaking? So speaking is judged based on these 4 criteria. First is fluency and coherence. Second is lexical resource. Third is grammatical range and accuracy. And fourth is pronunciation. So based on these 4 parameters, examiners give you bands. So what are these 4 parameters? What is all included in these 4 parameters? Everything will be taught to you in your further classes. This is the sample of speaking test, which you can see in your screen, part 1, part 2, and part 3. Okay, so you can just go through it. All right, fine. Thank you. This is the end of the entire orientation of IELTS. So I hope that you all must be clear that what is there in IELTS examination and what is the actual format of IELTS exam and what you need to do in that. Further, I would like to add that we at My Studia are running classes on daily basis. So we have the options for you from morning 8 o'clock to evening 9 o'clock. So you can choose any slot that you are comfortable with. Second of all, we also run weekend batches. We also have the options of crash batches if you want to prefer joining the crash batches as well, right? So if you're interested in joining the coaching division or the coaching of IELTS with My Studia, I would like you to click at the link below, which is given in the screen. Thank you so much, guys.